You know what my biggest fear is? That I'm gonna keep doing all of this work, and then one day I'm gonna get tired of it and just stop doing everything that I'm doing, and I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna resort back to everything that I've done in the past. That's my biggest fear, because that's what I always do.
Yeah.
Right? Like I could do good for a while. I could do good for a good period of time and be motivated and stay on it and keep going and keep going and keep getting better and better and better, and then I'll just get bored of it. You know what I mean? I'll get bored of it, and then I'll stop doing the things that I'm doing, and then I will ultimately resort back to where I was before, and it'll get worse, and then I'll fucking die, and then there's no coming back from that.
Life on EJ. Life on EJ. Yeah, yeah.
So we just made the video about saving in gold versus dollars, and it's like it's a good way to put bumpers around not losing your purchasing power, being able to stay in business. Like you need an asset, something that's appreciating. It's hard to just keep dollars. I keep dollars to pay bills, but if I'm storing money like for an extended period of time, I don't mean like a few months. I mean for a year, 2, 3. I store in gold because what's guaranteed is that the dollar keeps losing its purchasing power 8.5% a year, and it's getting worse. And so that's a guarantee to me. And so I store in gold because I don't need the money immediately. My bills are paid. And in gold, I'll get 10, 12, 15, 20% a year in appreciation, especially now. That's how I keep myself in line in business, because in my head, I'm competing with the guy next to me who has the same business, right? And he's doing that because like steel, we got to be sharp. We're competing. And so I can't turn around one day and I saved $100,000 and it's got purchasing power of $15,000 and his 100 is worth 2 or 250, 15K versus 250. He puts me out of business that way. And so I put those bumpers around me, like, how do I play this game the smartest? I don't want to have to keep up with the increase in prices. And it just got me thinking, bumpers, right? What bumpers do we put around us to keep ourselves from spiraling out in drug addiction, We were talking this morning, dude, and I was like, you're in a really strong place right now because you have a lot of good bumpers around you. So like everywhere you go, you're reminded of good thinking, productive thinking. You know how we do, like, instead of wearing the blue lenses, which I don't, it's fine. I can help you realize that the red lenses are a little bit of a better, healthier perspective. You have that in everything you're doing. And so my suggestion to you this morning was your deeper rooted issues. And you also have strength because it's been how many months now for you?
7.
7 months, dude. I'm like, yeah, you handle some of your deeper rooted stuff. Now you make those decisions. I'm not suggesting you have to make the final decision, but it's just to put the conversation on the table. Because you have those bumpers. Everywhere you go, you're corrected with positive thinking, the right coping, and it's really important. That's what I do with gold in this economy we're in. I put my stuff in gold because of, it helps me deal with everything that's happening countrywide and making sure I can still stay in the game. And you're in the game recovery-wise. So I guess I want to talk about how you feel about some of this big stuff you have coming up. And I doubt you're smiling about it, right?
No, not really. No, like stuff stresses me out. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the stuff, it keeps me up at night. But like what I know to be true is like I used to be kept up at night because I couldn't go to sleep because I was on drugs that kept me up at night. And what I would do in that time was I would just be dreaming like, yo, please give me something like that small inkling of like wanting to stop so that I don't have to feel this anymore. You know what I mean? Where like I can get back all of the things that I had before and just live a normal life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
And like it was so hard for me to get out of that, And like I am so deathly afraid of going back to that. So part of why this stuff keeps me up at night is because what I know to be true is if I don't handle this stuff and I just continue to run away from it, I am eventually going to go back to where I was at. You know what I mean? So eventually, like I have to face this stuff head on, and I have to handle it, and I have to deal with it. And some of it seems so astronomically big that like the thought of like how am I even gonna begin to tackle this? That thought starts to creep in. But what I know to be true for me is there is nothing there is nothing that I have ever set out to accomplish that I did that like I put my 100% effort into that I didn't accomplish. You know what I'm saying? So like even these big mountain problems that I have, if I set out to fix it and I put my 100% effort into fixing it, like I will fix it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know how. I don't know what the steps are. I don't know what I'm going to have to do in order to accomplish it. But like what I know to be true is if I put my effort into it, I will accomplish it.
Yeah. That's healthy thinking. Like, what's the best thing that I can do? I'm willing. I'll fix it. Like, that's healthy thinking versus not healthy thinking. Because what advice would you give? Would you give somebody who's going through the same thing? If I was like, "Yo, E, I need your advice," right? Like, I got this issue. I want to keep running from it. You can't. And let me be even more clear. You and I went through years of addiction. So when we came out, first of all, they say that the harder the fall, the bigger the bounce. I also look at it like how long did we refuel for? If you go to the gas station, you fuel up for 2 minutes, you can only drive for 20 miles. But if you fuel up for 20 minutes, you can drive for 2,000 miles. Like we just refueled for a long time. And we keep doing it every day. So like you're perfectly ready to deal. And when you get through it, that's something that you actually went through that was hard that other people haven't. And that's going to wear a certain way. It's going to wear on you a certain way. I mean, it's going to look a certain way. It's going to make you more wise, more experienced. You're going to carry it a certain way because you've gone through real shit. Life is more real. Life is more serious. You had to really go through things. You don't take things for granted anymore because you know what it's like to have to go through the fucking pain. You don't take Kensington for granted, or you don't take life for granted because you know what it's like to abandon everything, to be irresponsible in relationships and go through the pain. And so I'm glad that you're geared up and strong and ready to go through it, because on the other side is going to be somebody that's now way better for the wear. And I think that's a healthy person in recovery.
It's a scary thing.
It's going to suck.
You know what I mean? Scary thing. Having to deal with like the wreckage of your past. You know what I mean? Like where in the moment back then, it was like when I was doing these things, like I wasn't worried about what it was going to do to me later on. Like having to deal with the consequences of it. I just did it. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't think about like there's going to be consequences of my actions here. You know what I mean? And like I'll just deal with it when it comes up. And now it's like the time has come up to deal with it, and it's like, Jesus, I wish I never did this.
It's actually not that bad, right? I used to do that, and I'd be so scared because I would just be like, fuck it. I'd either say fuck it because I knew in my head quietly like the consequence won't be all that bad. I wouldn't want to admit that as if I was talking out loud to somebody. But it was either one of those, or I was being really reckless and just hoping, because if something goes wrong here, I'm going to lose everything. And because so many times I took a massive risk, what I was left with after, I was like, thank fucking God. It's not that bad. The mess that I didn't lose everything. Stuff's not that bad. It's just a perspective. But
it's all about perspective. It depends on how you look at it. You know what I mean? Like I could look at it like you could go one of two ways. You could look. I could look at it like I got to deal with these problems. Like everybody else that's like 7 months sober doesn't have these kind of problems. Like they don't have to go through this stuff. They don't have to deal with it, right? I could look at it like that, or I can look at it like I have these problems, but like the problems that I had when I was using were a million times worse. You know what I mean? And if like I look at it like that and I compare it to that, then it becomes not that bad, and it becomes easier to deal with and easier to kind of get through. You know what I mean? But it's all about perspective.
There's something that we say in sales over the phone. Like, would you agree that the perspective that we use, perspective shapes our decisions?
Sure.
Right? And then you go further to say, do you think that the perspective you have could maybe be the reason that you're in the situation that you're in? Like, because you hold money so close to the chest and that you don't make investments, that's a symptom of that's the problem. That because you're doing that you don't have the money. Yes. Do you think that if there was a way that you can start to invest in something that's safe and do it in a low risk way so you can test the waters and get familiar with it? So you're not turning your own temperature up too high. That would be a productive thing you can do to help get to where you want to get. So it's just perspective shapes everything. How do you look at it? I look at it like too much of a risk, or I look at it like an opportunity. For me, if I know if I stay exactly where I'm at, what's guaranteed to me is the same outcome I'm in. And if that outcome is bad enough, or that reality is bad enough, that's daunting and scary. It's horrible because what's guaranteed is nothing changed. That's insanity. How do I expect anything to change? I'm doing the same thing. So I'm going to have to go out on the limb, take a little bit of risk. Hopefully it's a calculated one for the outsized return, but I have to change my perspective about, let's say, money or spending money or marketing or whatever it might be. I have to go to jail before I can go get my life back. I have to go sit down, and we want it right now. The worst thing about drug addiction is we want the result right now. So then all of a sudden we have to change everything. It's like a whirlpool going one way to change the other way. Now we have to go sit down first, then go to treatment, then get back on the horse and work a full work fucking day, and then week, and then month, and then things will start to change. And it's so daunting because we don't know how to do that anymore. Grown men, professional men in society that have earned a lot and done really, really well. And we don't know how to do that anymore. Pretty scary shit, right? People will hate on us, EJ, and they'll be like, we shouldn't have made that bed. Well, it's I did, and I'm the reason for it, no doubt. But the consequences and the pain still the same, whether I did it or not. I wish I was more wise at the time, but I wasn't. And here I am, and we climbed out of it. Fuck them people. Yeah, I made that mistake. But I got out of it because other people died. They were the typical, and I'm going to fight through it. And now, you're not going to let it spin you out anymore. The problems you're thinking about, EJ, right now, when you were thinking about them before you relapsed, right? When you were thinking about those problems before you relapsed, what would they do to you? Do you care how much money you make in a week now compared to back then?
It doesn't drive me as much.
Right. Back then, if you didn't keep up with the Joneses, whoever the fuck they were, because you had some crazy standards. I don't know who the Joneses were to you, buddy, but maybe the Kardashians or something.
Women.
Right.
That's what it was. Women.
Okay. For the women?
Yeah.
And no one even gave a shit.
Nope. See, but that's the thing.
They just wanted your dumb ass. They didn't even give a fuck about the money. You did.
But I didn't believe that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't believe that I had a woman who looked at me and wanted me just because of me, right? So what I thought is, this woman wants everything that I can give to her. So I had to keep up with that, because if I didn't keep up with that, what I thought is I'm going to lose her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And these are these crazy ass scenarios that I come up with in my head. You know what I'm saying? And I just dug myself a deeper hole, until eventually it got to a point where I made mistakes and I couldn't keep up with that image anymore.
Yeah.
And then I was dealing with this identity crisis because I thought that I lost everything that made me who I was. You know what I'm saying? And the things that I thought that made me who I was the amount of money that I made, how muscular I was, the car that I drove, the chain that I wore, the clothes that I wore. I thought that that's what my image was. And when I couldn't keep up with that any longer, when I no longer had those things, I thought that I lost me as a person.
You just painted a picture for me. What a pretty picture.
Mm-hmm.
But so disconnected and fucked up underneath.
It was complete disconnect.
Versus just super regular, but everything underneath is so fucking interconnected and nice, like the fucking galaxy underneath.
I think about it, if if I took my mindset now and went back 3 years, right? So I was the person that I am now 3 years ago. I would have been a dynamic fucking force, right? Because I wouldn't have needed all of these things that I thought created who I was, right? And what that would have resulted in is me not spending nearly as much money, right? So that would have avoided the problem of spending the money that should have been allocated for my taxes on Louis Vuitton, right? So I would have had tax money, right? So that would have been a problem that I'm not dealing with right now, right?
Yeah.
Then also having to keep up with this image, this materialistic image that I thought made me who I was. If I didn't have that driving me, then like when things started to go wrong, I wouldn't have had an image that I had to keep up with, and I would have been okay. I would have been content. And I wouldn't have had these fucking problems that I have now. I wouldn't have ended up going back out, because that's one of the things that drove me to go back out, right? Was this like identity crisis that I'm having now, where I'm no longer me. You know, you take the money away from me, you take the materialistic things away from me. Now I'm no longer me, you know? And what that did is that drove me to go use. And then 3 years later, I create this huge problem for myself.
So I have a question for you. If you had this vanity about you where you had to look good, everything always proper, how was it so easy for you to just go and do the Kensington thing now, where it's just an abandonment of not only your own principles, you didn't have any, right? All you had was kind of like, I'll abandon everything for the vanity. But when you start using, you look like shit. So how were you able to so easily settle into now
Because
looking like shit? Because you just dropped the vanity altogether?
my image was gone. You know what I mean? My image was gone based off of one decision that I made. Well, not one decision. There was a lot of decisions that led up to that one decision that I made. But think about it for a second, right? I'm one day I decide to go get blackout drunk, and I drive my car, and I make a decision after I get pulled over by a state trooper to take off on that state trooper, and it ends with me crashing the car into a tree, and I'm in a coma, right? I wake up from this coma, and like the first couple of things that I find out is like I lost my job and I lost my house. You know what I mean? So I lost my job. Now the income isn't coming in for me to keep up with this image anymore. I lost my house, so now I don't have that anymore either, because that was a driving factor. Like, yeah, I got my own place, I got my own condo. You know what I mean? Like image, status. You know what I mean? That's now gone. You know what I mean? And I'm living in a spare bedroom at my sister's house. So my image is now gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have the funds to keep up with the image. And I had nothing.
Why was that the only way, man, that it could happen? You needed that crash. You did it to yourself. You didn't know how it was going to come, but you needed it because you didn't know how to say, hey, this isn't working. I need to change. You didn't know how to slow down.
Yeah.
You needed the crash.
Mhm.
Whenever I think about stuff like that, it scares me because it's like, what are the things that I'm doing to cope with what you're going to get where you're going type of thing, right? And it's like this kid's spiraling and you're doing it to yourself on purpose because you don't know how to change this and settle down and humble yourself and say, hey, here's the reality. I don't know how to make this much money every week. I can't keep up with this lifestyle that no one told me to put together. I just created. I can't keep up. I don't know how to manage it. What I started to notice as I got further and further and further into growing up, maybe, is that people like the vulnerability. Doesn't mean it's easy, but they like it. But to us, when we're young-minded, we can't be vulnerable. Instead, we just try to keep up. And like that's why I feel like girls would start to look at the guys who were the hot shots like boneheads, because it's like you got the looks. What you're missing is like the I'm not saying this about you, but this is just in general. Most of the times,
For me, it was always all about images. And at that point in time, the image that I wanted was to look cool, right? And the whole sober thing wasn't cool to me. You know what I mean? Like what was cool was making a lot of money, driving a nice car, having a lot of nice things, and then going out on the weekends and like drinking. And like that was cool to me. You know what I mean? Until it wasn't, right? And like one thing that I pride myself on nowadays is I don't give a fuck what looks cool. Like I know what's cool for me, right? And if there's one piece of advice that I can give to anybody, it's like convince people and encourage people that like sobriety is cool. Because if you don't, and people can't get behind the image of being sober, they're going to die. Like your friends are going to die. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's because they think that being sober isn't cool. So they keep doing what they're doing and then they end up dying. And that person is then gone and they don't come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro.
Like for me, being sober is cool. And like it's not all about an image. You know what I mean? But like I try to do my best to make being sober look cool because it will convince other people to do it. You know what I mean? And what that'll do is that'll save a lot of lives, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing about your brother. Your brother always made looking like being sober look cool. You know what I mean? And people got behind that and they followed him in doing that. You know what I mean? And he saved a lot of people's lives because of that. And that's what I try to do. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people like what I do and they think that I'm a cool guy, right? So I try to, if they're going to follow me, I try to make them follow something that has fulfillment in it,
Yeah.
something that isn't going to lead them to a crash and burn. You know what I mean? And
It's like your moral obligation. It's a moral duty that any decent person has.
yeah,
With a compass is to lead people the right way. I'm careful about what I give advice on. My big thing nowadays is like, if you got money saved, like tuck somewhere for the long term, put it in gold. And I say that I'm laughing because that's my business, but like I mean that more than anything. But even more than that, I know that I won't give advice on things that I'm not for sure of because I'm always so willing to have my mind changed because I'm learning and growing as I'm going. I just speak on, what I know for sure. Sobriety being cool. Yeah, you'll start to get used to like people overdosing in front of you, like stepping over them, like people being nodded off, like becomes normal. Seeing that person nod is just normal. You know they're alive. I'm not supposed to know if they're dead or alive. Just meaning like it's not normal to kind of know if that and assume that person's all right. Because where I come from, a person that's slumped over, like they're not all right. But all of a sudden, like that becomes normal. Somebody died yesterday. Where I come from, it's not all right until I put myself in those places. And that fucking shit is really traumatic. And it's not cool. When you're scarred up by all this fucking traumatic shit, it's not so cool when you're not in your young 20s anymore.
it wasn't cool then either.
People just thought it was because they have a story, because they have that little unique thing that makes them stand out. And that's all we seek for because we don't know how to just be level and just like find ours. This shit starts when we're like fucking kids, man.
Like no matter what age you are, I don't give a fuck if you're 15, 25, 35, or 65. At no point is it cool to overdose and die and have your family crying, right? Have your family, like a part of them, ripped away forever, right? Where they have to go to a funeral and read a eulogy and fucking talk about their son or their brother or their sister or their daughter. You know what I mean? How great of a person she was or he was, and he just couldn't get his life together. You know what I mean? Like they have to talk about you in memory now with no future memories that could possibly be made because you were doing something that you thought looked cool and it took your fucking life. Like that's not cool. It doesn't matter how old you are. None of that shit is cool.
Yeah.
Like what's cool is like being able to overcome demons and show up for responsibility, show up for life on life's terms. You know what I'm saying? Like, is life hard? Yeah, dude, it's fucking hard. Life is fucking hard. You know what I mean? But like the cool person shows up for it and faces it and overcomes it and does all the right things and puts smiles on the people closest to him. You know what I mean? Like that's cool.
So I don't know if fill this in the blank here. If it's not about image anymore, what is it about a guy in recovery? The empty tank guy who's going to crash and burn. It's all about image, and the guy who's full.
My favorite line in the big book, and this is my screensaver. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. That's what it's about. Self-reliance and contentment.
Isn't
Because-
that my brother's favorite
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah. Because I was a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck.
Channeling my brother today.
Yeah, no, but I mean, yeah, because I've taken a lot from him. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of like what the relationship is now, like that's irrelevant. I can't really name anybody that I've learned more from than him, right? And again, like part of what made him him and so popular was that like he was able to take this on and put it in a way that it looked cool. You know what I mean? Like there was a cool swag about it, and like that's what that shit is about nowadays. It's like I just want to be content and self-reliant, like be able to take care of myself, where I don't need to depend on other people. You know what I mean? I don't need people to carry me through life.
Mhm.
You know? You ever hear the thing about like the footsteps in the sand?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like that was me my whole life. Like I was being carried, you know? Like because if I wasn't being carried, I would be
Yeah.
fucking dead.
Like, here you go. He said, you can do it, man. You
Mhm.
can do it. And
Mhm.
you love that and you
Yeah.
feed off that.
Yeah.
And then you get left to your own and you go and fucking do some
I get
dumb
left
shit
to my own
again.
devices and I just ruin everything, bro. Not only do I ruin everything in my own life, like I ruin everything like in the people's lives that are close to me too.
Which one's worse?
I think they're equally as bad.
Yeah, it's the same shit.
They're
bro.
equally as bad.
It's just bad.
You know what I mean?
Just being irresponsible. Self-reliance and contentment. One of the things that's cool about my brother is he would shoulder responsibility, like the way he immersed himself in recovery and how he carried it. And you have to stand for something.
Sure.
And he stood for that. And that kept him fucking clean.
Sure.
Awesome. Beyond that, took on responsibilities, you know, in business and in his career and in sponsoring guys. And I'm like, oh shit, I like that part of it.
Mhm.
And he carried that because he held himself accountable to it, kept him clean. Awesome, awesome shit. Now, in what he's doing. So he's got these underlying themes that he carries through with shouldering load of responsibility as he goes. And, you know, it's that. Because camera on, camera off, we have to make decisions a certain fucking way. And when you go through these things that are coming up, right, you're going to have a lot of contentment. And when I walk in the room, it's not about, for me, I say to myself, I read this thing this morning about like you walk in the room. It's not about like being the best in the room or anything. It's about not comparing. I don't give a fuck about the other people in the room. I do. I'm curious about them because I'm a curious guy. I want to meet you. But I'm not comparing because I'm just content with what I'm doing because I'm making decisions. I'm pushing myself through challenges that no one even knows about. I'm very content. And I have a lot of respect for myself because I know the old way of going about doing things. And I know the new way. And every time I keep choosing the new way of going about it. And then there's things I haven't faced yet that are coming up. And sure as shit, I will. How is that guy going to feel? You know, I'll get feared up, irritated about something I have to solve and I don't have the answer or how to do it. And I get fucked up about it. You know, or fearful about something, and it puts me in a little bit of an irritable mood or distracted. But I face it. It's always about how you carry something too. The old school way is the guy who checks out of fucking everything. You're gonna go and fuck this up. Then there's the guy who carries it. You can carry it like a bitch, or you can carry it like a man. I'll give you a quick for instance, all right? There's this guy I look up to. I used to work for him many, many years ago. And he started investing in real estate. And he brought on a partner, a young guy, a guy that worked side by side with me. I was underneath the owner, right? And the owner was fucking awesome. And he brought on somebody. He said, hey, you want to invest in this property with me? And the guy that he brought on, like, of course, he was fearful. He'd never invested before. That shit is fucking scary. He had a lot of money on the line. And he worked hard for the money. Like, I get it. But he just carried it like a pestering, annoying, yo, hey, what do you think about, you know? And like the guy that I worked for, the most kind, compassionate, considerate, patient guy. And he's just like, yo, dude, the amount of like headache that came along with investing with this dude. You want to rise people up. You want to help them get up to the level. But it's like, yo, you need to carry that different, bro. You know? Just like, you know, it's okay to freak out, confide in somebody. Like, hey, man, kind of help me frame my thoughts right to go through this thing. This guy is a real estate deal. He had like 30, 40, 50K on the line. When it was over, the kid got his money back, made 30, 40, 50K. Good for you. You could have carried it different. I always look at how I carry things. I don't think anymore about bailing on my responsibilities. I know I'm going to carry it. How do I carry it? Sometimes, you know, I'm choosing this life of little bit of risk and looking for the big payoff. How do I fucking carry it though? And those are the things where I try to correct myself. I think it's dope what we do in that. We process it. We had a cool convo in the cafeteria earlier about the stuff you have coming up and how you're going to carry it. And you're like, hey, man, you know, it just fucking, this sucks or that part of it sucks. No doubt. But short of the drug addiction stuff, I mean, everybody has their ways of letting their shit leak out of them the wrong way. I guess how are you going to go about carrying it the right way? I think it's because all the bumpers you got around you, right? I don't know. How do you go about making what you decide is the best decision possible?
I pray on it first. And then like I lean a lot on people, you know,
You're a
people,
crowdsourcer.
yeah, people that have more time than me, people that have experienced similar things, and I ask questions. You know what I mean? But there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people that seek information and then do nothing with it, and then there's people that seek the information and actually take the advice. You know what I mean? And I used to be the guy that seek the information and just did nothing about it. You know what I mean? I was that guy for a long time, right? Where like I would make you believe that like I'm seeking this information because I'm actually going to do something with it, but like in all reality, I'm just wasting your time.
Why? So what were you doing it for?
I don't know. Image, because I wanted you to believe that I was seeking this information to use it. Image.
I would
Image.
seek info to hear how people think because I used to have a fear like I don't know how to think properly. I need you to tell me what the right answer is because I don't know how. So now I'm big and like trust your gut and intuition, man. You know how to make decisions. But I used to seek info and then like if my character wasn't ready to make decisions the way I'm supposed to, or I would just fucking lollygag around, just like too scared to make a decision.
Mhm.
The way I carried it, the way I carried shit. So that's why when I have a lot of success, it's like this, like it's really tied to like personal growth. That's what they
Sure.
say. You know, this is awesome what you're saying right now. Well, only because we're on this side of it, where you're acknowledging the ways you used to be and how you are now.
It'll be even more awesome to say it and then actually do it. Like that's what it'll make that's what will make it awesome.
It's gonna feel like shit.
Is to say it and then actually follow through and do it, right? Because I could say it till I'm blue in the face and make it look cool and make it look good and then just do nothing about it and just abandon everything and just try to run.
People say that they want certain outcomes, but they're not willing to do the stuff that it takes to get the outcome, right?
Yeah.
Like we want to live a sober, clean life and clean up old mistakes, but like there's this long road of stuff that you're gonna go through on your own, and there's no fanfare there for you. There's no one watching. There's no one to pat you on the back. It's just gonna be you, and you still have to fight through it. And it's hard when the camera's off to go through the shit. You know, you want to be a successful investor. Well, it means you have to go earn the money and then go put the fucking money on the line. You know, and all these different. So people want the reward, but they don't actually want to do the outcome. They don't want to do the things that it takes to actually get the outcome. I decide the things I want to decide what it takes. And then I pray to God and gear up for the strength of character to be able to actually go through it. Because I know the things I want and they matter to me a lot. Seems like it's the same for you. And then I just pray, like, help me arrive at these places, you know, to just have the strength of character to get through them. Because that's usually what I decide. That's what I chalk all the experiences up to. Is like it was the growth of character that you needed to be able to get to the goal. I feel like God gives it to you in this incremental way. You just
Sure.
don't see it, my son. You just don't get it. But you will, because you'll have the strength you need to get through. You'll have the compass you need to make the right decision, you know, and so on. But a lot of people want the outcome and they don't want to fucking,
Don't want to do the work.
not unless there's somebody watching or someone
Mhm.
to pat them on the ass.
Mhm.
I like when I do things like on my own in quiet, right? Like that you don't you fall to your highest level of preparation or like to the things that you do in the dark, you know? Like, you know what made me strong when I started my business? What I would choose to do is like, I have to keep it really real. You know, I have to really be about this. So I go home, I'll study different sales things and I'll read a lot of books. And then I got into it. And then I started taking pride in it. So I talk about my shit, the stuff that I do, because like I felt really good about it. But it allowed me to be able to show up and like, and really be about it. Because I wanted the outcome, but I was willing to do what it takes. I was gonna give my whole life to this thing, man. Like even when I'm exhausted, not like on some sometime shit. You don't get, you know, to, you know, what do I want? I want to make $2.5 million a year. You know, I want a $50 million net worth. You don't get that way on some sometime shit. You have to run a business successfully. You know, you have to actually be dynamic in your decision making. You have to know how to manage and lead people. You have to know every single department better than the best person in that department, you know, to an extent. And you have to be a good investor on the outside, and you have to manage your family, because I don't want the success without a good family life. It's funny because while you do it, you go through things you never experienced before. So all you have is your own experiences to make the best decision possible at hand. It's scary, but it's all perspective. Am I going to let this scare me or be like, this is the perfect challenge for me? Let's go. Let's go. Like, I'm constantly surprised, DJ, about how well my gut can actually get me through. But I'll still question it every single day. I'll still be like scared or feared up every day. And I'm fucking a 39-year-old man. But that's what makes me show up, be able to look somebody in the eye and shake their fucking hand, you know? Like, how many people are you gonna talk to about if you have to go away for a little bit, or past message you have to clean up to look for the answer, or do you already know what you have to do?
I know what the answer is.
Do you think there's anything wrong with asking people and talking to them?
No, because that's how you get advice.
What's different about it this time, if you were to do it, than then? Back then?
Back then, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. I would have just talked about it.
So if I catch you talking about some of the stuff you have coming up, I know that in pretty short order. There's no exact amount of time, but you're gonna go make that play.
I have to. I don't have a choice.
Because what's the alternative if you don't?
I run.
And then what?
It eventually catches up with me anyway, and the problem will probably be even worse.
Well, yeah, because if you're running from something, I agree with you. Like, because if you're running, right, like, just avoidance game, you're just avoiding something big.
Mm-hmm.
It just manifests in all these whacked out, fucked up ways. It's like if you put something like shit in your body, the way it comes out of you is in these wacky ass ways. And look, you know? If you just avoid something that's plaguing you, the way it comes out is in these whacked out ways. So it's all about fucking growing up and just being men, right?
Yep. Yep.
What's your biggest fear right now? Why?
I would say my biggest fear is I don't really know.
What's something you're working your ass off on right now? Hard, every day.
You know what my biggest fear is? That I'm going to keep doing all of this work, and then one day I'm going to get tired of it and just stop doing everything that I'm doing, and I'm just going to I'm just going to resort back to everything that I've done in the past. That's my biggest fear, because that's what I always do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I could do good for a while. I could do good for a good period of time and be motivated and stay on it and keep going and keep going and keep getting better and better and better, and then I'll just get bored of it. You know what I mean? I'll get bored of it, and then I'll stop doing the things that I'm doing, and then I will ultimately resort back to where I was before, and it'll get worse, and then I'll fucking die. And then there's no coming back from that. So that's my biggest fear.
What if I told you that was my biggest fear? What would you say to me? You care about me. What would you say to me?
I would say boredom is contentment, right? And your goal was to be content. So enjoy the goal, right? Enjoy the result of the goal. And
Jeez.
stay at it. You know what I mean? Because you might be bored of it right now, but you have no idea what it's going to look like on the other end of it when you push through that boredom. You know what I mean? Like, you could go one of two ways. You could keep doing the same things that you've always done, and it's going to lead you to the same places that it's always led you to, or you could try something different. You can do something different for once in your fucking life and keep going, even when it gets hard, even when it gets daunting. You keep going and push through it and get through all of that stuff, and you have no idea what the result is going to be on the other end of it because you've never been there before.
What if I can't find a good feeling for a fucking week, man? A week.
What's a good feeling?
I don't even know, but sometimes I'll wake up crummy. I don't even know why.
I do too.
But you know what I usually do? Here's my bumpers. I'll go for a run or go work out, and something's coming that makes me smile or laugh. It might be the fucking endorphins that get going, the dopamine, like the chemicals. But like when I turn my brain on, when it starts going,
You know,
my whole day gets turned around. But like, what if? That's why I meant, like, what if it takes a week? It's like, I don't care, man. I won't fucking bail this time because that's what I've done in the past. And I thank the universe every day. I throw the ripples out there like the rock in the pond. And I'm a magnet for all the things that I ever wanted. It's more beautiful than I can imagine. Every day I say to myself, show me how great it can be. And I just wait. And stuff happens, and I'm like, wow, that's the sign of where I'm supposed to go next and what to do. And I don't want to fucking go throw a wrench in my own shit because something's coming my way. Maybe it's not this minute. Maybe it's not this day. Maybe the whole week's going to feel crummy. But something's coming. Like, that's the new wave I'm on, bro. I just won't do it because I know something's coming for me. And it's like stored energy. All I do is I study investments and shit. So it's like the longer you fuel up, the longer a stock chops sideways, the bigger the run up when it goes. It's been at the station for that long. Like you for fucking 3-4 year run, man. You know? And so it's like, I know it's coming. And for me, I know it's guaranteed if I throw the wrench, and I don't know what's guaranteed there. That's for me. But like, what do you do if it takes a week? That's how I go about it.
If it took a week, like if you said to me, your life is guaranteed to change, but you're gonna have to go through a week of not feeling anything, will you do it?
So perspective
week?
shift. Yeah.
I'm under the assumption that it's gonna take years. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay with that.
Prepare for the worst and hope for the best type shit.
I'm okay with that.
I'm prepared for years, yeah.
Maybe it breaks through quicker than that.
That's why you got to talk to people. Because I'm a smart guy. I'll put myself in those, and I'll feel like all overwhelmed about something. If you just talk to someone, they look at me like that, with that stoic ass look. It's just like, a week? I'm like, you know what? You're right, man. Fuck.
A week.
I was being a hoe.
I just spent years in hell, dude. Years.
Me too. Had I known that, just a change of a thought, just like that. I used to be in hell, which happened to be in my own house, and I couldn't physically go outside.
Yeah.
I think the fresh air, and then when I would, only to go use more, to go cop, the fresh air would do something for me to bring me back to life. Unfortunately, I was just on my way to cop though, and then come back home and do it all over again. Self-inflicted prison. People die there.
Yes, they do.
I don't know what this was, about, but you know what was best about this right here? It's like these little perspective shifts. The whole, like, what would you tell me if I said the same?
Imagine somebody down the way right now just happens to stumble upon this and they're thinking the same exact thing. You know? Like that's what I do this for.
They need to come up here and interview with you.
That's what I do this for.
What?
Is in hopes that somebody down the way will just stumble upon this when they're feeling the worst that they could possibly feel, thinking that there's no other way out, thinking that they're just gonna fucking die of a fucking grueling, miserable death. And they see this and it changed their perspective even for a second. And if that perspective change for a second drives them into going to rehab and getting help and changing their life, then everything that I've done here is fulfilled. That's why I do this.
I want these editors, these guys that do all of the media stuff, to send it out and get it in that area. So if somebody's going through some shit, they can just reach out to you. You go talk to them. If they've been clean and they see it, talk to them right here. But it's just a perspective shift. But like, you can't get it without talking to somebody. Smartest guys in the world, the guys that are wise. You know, that you can't. You would think you're smart enough to be able to like figure things out, but when you're in the trenches, you fucking can't. There's nobody too smart for this shit, bro. And so I would hope the same thing, that somebody sees it and reaches out to you so that you could talk to them. And somebody who's clean, who had the perspective shift, same thing. They reach out so they can sit here and talk to you, because it's a miracle and it's a better conversation, man. The healthy one is better than like the one. How many combos have you had? Last thing I want to ask you. How many combos have you had with people where you're both in the trenches? You're either in jail or you're in treatment or you're on the run. And you're like, you know, a lot of times just ignoring how shitty and fucked up this situation is.
A lot. I've had a lot of those conversations. Pointless, no result conversations of bullshit.
Yeah.
Just wasting time.
Yeah. When do you actually turn around and talk about, like, hey, man, when are we going to talk about the fact that we're both ignoring something really bad?
Don't talk about that.
Never. You just don't talk about
that.
Go a lifetime like that.
Yeah.
How does that come out of somebody?
You die. You die. Eventually. You just live miserably until you die. And that's what that is.
Over what, you know? Because most of the stuff that you said in the beginning is like, what'd you say? It's enormous. I think you said astronomical to you. But like with just the perspective, it's like it doesn't have to be all that, you know? It's so scary because whatever's astronomical and big to the person, that's real for them. People need to reach out and talk to folks, man. That's why I do this. Makes me feel good to talk to you. God bless you, man.
Life on